over now to you, Nadell.
Thank you, Lucy. Hello and welcome, and thank you for taking a moment to be involved in this momentous occasion, the launch of The Loop, your Neuromuscular Resource Hub. Please welcome Mr. Jody Sampson as he provides us with a welcome to country message.
Thanks very much, Nadell. And for me, what I'd like to do is first off acknowledge the traditional owners of country whose land on which I'm dialing in from, which is from the Gold Coast. I'd like to acknowledge both the Kombumerri people of the Yugambeh speaking language group, as well as the Bundjalung people. There are a number of different traditional owners around the Gold Coast, and the Kombumerri and the Bundjalung people are the traditional custodians of these lands and waters. I'd also like to acknowledge First Nations peoples from across the globe as well, for anyone that's dialing in or hearing this launch, as well as traditional owners, from where everyone else is dialing in from today. I'd also like to pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. We've got to acknowledge our young people coming through because they have to look after old fellas like me as I get older. So it's so important to acknowledge, our three groups of elders. If I can just speak briefly to the project in terms of my involvement, and then I'll hand it back to you, Nadell. The launch of today's Loop resources is timely for MDA because today is day one of Reconciliation Week, which is a major event for us that we celebrate right across the country, each year. And it's a time for all Australians to join us in our journey of healing as First Nations Australians, and especially towards our journey of healing through reconciliation. And, it's very symbolic that the launch of the Loop is taking place today during day one of Reconciliation Week in Australia here. By being involved in such an important project for me through the resource, my role has been to provide a cultural lens to the great work of the project team, and a huge, my hat goes off to you guys too, those that have been involved in the project team and putting this resource together, because not only is it going to support First Nations Australians who receive a diagnosis, but it's certainly going to benefit, those that are caring, for anyone that's received a diagnosis. And I guess through the information that I've provided too, it's provided a two-way learning, mechanism, if you like, where everybody can learn from insights into what exists in Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Australia. For example, knowing what our flags actually mean, not only from the colour, the design, but also how the flag is used. And so creating a foundation has been my focus, if you like, right from the very beginning, where, the information I've provided around the flags has then led on to providing an acknowledgement of country, which is what I did at the top of my talk here, but also, helping people understand from a cultural perspective what happens or how our people can react, especially in palliative care, all the way through to, mental health and social and emotional well-being of First Nations Australians, and where to go to for support. As the project team and the likes of Scott and Nadell, you would have seen the information I've provided around our Indigenous psychologists that exist, and they're all around the country, as well as information on where people can find an Aboriginal counselling service. And for a lot of our people that are diagnosed, anybody for that matter, just receiving information about who else is out there that can support them you know, as they work through their illnesses, or they're even coming to terms with their diagnosis, can help them, can help their families, can help their carers, and create a sense of harmony, I guess, in their journey forward. So for me, you know, I'm very proud of MDA for you know, providing this resource. I'm very proud to have contributed to it, and I hope to meet you in person one day soon. So thanks very much.
Thanks, Jodie. Nadel, I'll hand over to you.
Thank you, Jodie. That was awesome. And yes, we'd love to meet you in person too. So over the years, many within our neuromuscular community have voiced their challenge with finding reliable and relatable information on neuromuscular topics, from diagnoses and condition-specific information through to what equipment to get, how others have travelled or are travelling the same journey, relationships and regular life hacks, plus so much more. And in the next 45 minutes or so, journey with us as we share snapshots of the loop through conversations and videos, covering the dream, the development, and ultimately what you see here today, the delivery of the loop, your Neuromuscular Resource Hub. We'll take you on a virtual tour of the loop, a real space where you can prepare and share every step and find your voice with other voices just like yours. We'll share ways in which this resource can help shape how you gather your information and share your information, or information that is relevant to you, and how the loop provides a moderated forum through which you can connect with others who may share or benefit from components of your journey. And the best part is how you, a member of the neuromuscular community, an Australian who's living with a neuromuscular condition, or a family member or supporter, and how you can help with the authorship and creation of content, written, visual or audio, where you can help us grow this resource from today to ensure that the loop remains dynamic, current, comprehensive, connective and relevant. So let's begin the journey of the loop, your Neuromuscular Resource Hub. Over to you, Lucy.
Thanks, Nadel. I'm just going to show everyone a little video now about our resource. Here we go.
With a neuromuscular condition. A co-design. Welcome to the Loop, a resource hub for those living or loving someone with a neuromuscular condition. A co-designed space built for the community, by the community.
The Loop is a resource for individuals and families living with neuromuscular conditions to get information and to connect with others that are in the same position. It enables people to go and get information that's either about their specific condition, or connecting and hearing stories from other people that are living with the condition, or their support workers and carers, or it's just about life tricks and hacks. So the Loop is a project that we have been running at a national level through Muscular Dystrophy Foundation that was funded through an ILC grant from the NDIA, and it's been a long time in progress, more than 2 years, and it's rolled out through all the state associations across the country.
Now launched. Join the community at theloopcommunity.org.
Thanks everybody for that. That was our video. Wait a second, that's going to start playing another video, which I don't want that to happen. So I thought now would be a really good opportunity to just touch base and introduce everyone who's on the call. So I will start. My name's Lucy Russell-Byrne. I've served as the communications consultant on this project. Nadel, I'll hand to you.
Hi, I'm Nadel. I'm General Manager for Muscular Dystrophy Foundation.
Charlotte? We'll have to unmute yourself.
Classic. I'm Charlotte. I'm the CEO of Muscular Dystrophy New South Wales. Thanks for having me.
Jack?
Hi, I'm Jack. I'm a community member in Western Australia and have been involved with MDWA and MDA for a number of years, about 10 years now.
Great. Sarah?
I'm Sarah Shaw. I'm also a member of the customer reference group who were involved in feedback on the loop content, etc., throughout the process. And I'm a member of MD Queensland.
Kim.
Hi, I'm the content collator for the Loop, and I also work with MD Queensland as the client services team leader there.
Carolyn.
Hi everyone, I'm Carolyn Campbell-McLean. I'm a life member for Muscular Dystrophy New South Wales, and I've been involved in the customer or consumer reference group as well. So yeah, a few different hats.
Hayley.
Hi, I'm Hayley Lethlean, the CEO at Muscular Dystrophy WA.
And who else have we got on the call? John.
Yeah, hi everyone. John Salmon. I'm representing our president of Muscular Dystrophy Tasmania, Mick Peters, and I'm also on the one of the directors of MDF.
Helene.
Hello everyone. I'm Helene Frayne. I'm the CEO of Muscular Dystrophy Queensland.
And we've got our captioner on here as well. Chris, providing some live captions. If you want to say hello. Oh, Alex, sorry.
Hi, I'm Alex. I'm captioning.
He's in the dark. He's hiding over there. And then finally, we've got David. And David, if you wanted to say a few words, that would be great.
Sure. So I'm David Kay. I'm the chair of Muscular Dystrophy Foundation, so chair and president of the board. Look, I guess I just want to say a few words and a few words of thanks. I think this resource is something that everyone can be really proud of. It's the first national information resource project that was funded by the National Disability Insurance Agency through the ILC grant program. And as far as we know, it is one of the only kind of national resource projects that has been completed so far through that program. As people will speak about, it is meant to be a one-stop shop for Australians living with a neuromuscular condition, as well as helping families and carers get information and link and connect with each other. I just would like to recognise the truly collaborative effort that this has been. It's been a long time in production and development. It's been a 2-year project, and the MDF board has watched it grow and develop over time into something that everyone can be really pleased with and proud of. It is really one of the first collaborations, national collaborations that MDF have facilitated, and has involved all of the neuromuscular conditions across Australia. I do want to thank in particular the CEOs of the neuromuscular, the MD organisations, Charlotte in New South Wales, Helene in Helene in Queensland, and Hayley in WA, as well as the contributions of John from Tasmania and Rob from the ACT. And special mention to Rob and John, who had volunteered their time throughout this process, which was really really useful and helpful. Also, I'd like to thank our partners. So we have worked with Meerkats and Girl Friday Media in terms of developing this resource. So thank you. And finally, to the community members who have volunteered their time. So we have spoken with and engaged with more than 350 people in the development of this resource. And we've also relied on community consultation groups and community reference groups to provide input. And that was a really important aspect of the design and development process. This is a resource for the neuromuscular community, and it is fitting and appropriate that it's designed by the neuromuscular community. And finally, Nadell and Scott, you have both worked tirelessly on this resource, and I think it's been an enormous effort and something that the board absolutely recognises. So thank you. That's the end of my spiel. Lucia, back to you.
Thank you so much for that, David. At this point, what we think would be a good idea is to give you a look at the site. So I'm going to give very much a speed tour of the loop. So let me share my screen. Here we go. Can we all see the website? Great. So this is our website. This is the product of 2 years of blood, sweat and tears putting this site together for our community. And this is our landing page. So the information on this website is really broken up into 2 parts. There is what we call advisor content. So that's content that has been developed by a team of subject matter experts. These are community services managers, specialists, allied health professionals, and it's been collated from a range of different sources. So Kim a little bit later will talk you through where all of this content and these resources have come from. So you'll find that information in our health and wellbeing section. You'll find in our medical and allied health support section a really great breakdown of different types of medical support that you can receive. That's broken down into allied health support and medical support. This is a really good overview of what these specialists can provide for you and what services they offer. We have a similar kind of information under equipment. So this will break down for you all the different types of equipment you might be interested in using along your journey. And there are some other really great subjects here, things like the latest research, where we can connect you up with latest research that's happening around the world and give you some information about how to participate in clinical trials. But the really cool thing under this health and wellbeing tab is our condition guides. So this is something a feature of the site that we're really excited about. So as a user, if you sign up with an account, you'll be able to select your condition guide. So you'll be able to select your condition, and under this condition guide, you'll find a range of information and resources relevant to your condition about how to process a diagnosis, what you can expect, genetics, your outlook, how to live with your condition, how to find support, and then how to find more information on your condition. So that in itself is pretty cool. But then the next part to that is our tailorable condition guides. So as a user, you can save this guide, you can make changes, and then you can then download it to share it with whoever you may want to share it with. So that might be a doctor, that might be a teacher or an employer, but it becomes a really great tool for you to communicate your needs and information about your condition with the people in your life and people in your support network. So that's one aspect of the site that we're incredibly excited about. The second part and the second type of content that exists on the website is community content. So this is content that's been developed and shared by members of our own community. So within that community, this community is made up of people living with neuromuscular conditions, their loved ones, their carers, and this is really an opportunity for the community to share their own wisdom and experience with other members of the community. So in all of our research that we did, and we did an extensive community consultation, we found that time and time again, we heard from the community that they wanted to hear from voices like their own. They wanted information from people who had already travelled the path before them. So that's our living life section. That's the function of our living life section. So in this section, you'll find content that's been created by members of the community and its guides essentially. So we have Sarah in the meeting here today, who's going to talk a bit about the content that she's created for us. But under all of these different headings, you'll find information about housing. So for example, you'll find stories about people's journeys to independent living. There's videos, there's blogs, there's all sorts of different types of content. And it's just a really exciting platform for members of our community to share their own stories, share their advice, their tips, their tricks, and support other members of the community. And finally, the other thing that I think is really important to talk about is our forum. So this forum has been made possible in collaboration with the Muscular Dystrophy New South Wales ILC grant project. So here you'll be able to connect with other people in a forum setting. So you'll be able to ask questions, you'll be able to write blogs. There's all sorts of different ways that you can engage. There's a very interesting topic at the moment about Western Australia that is highly contentious and I just highly recommend having a look in our forum. And the cool thing about this is really open to all the members of our community to connect with each other, to find other people in your city, in your town, or who share a similar experience to you, whether that's people who are parents of children living with neuromuscular conditions, people living with the same condition as you. It's about connection, and we're really happy and excited to have that as part of our loop. There is a lot more to the loop than those three things that I've sort of touched base on today. So I really recommend that you jump on, go and have a look at all of the content. And yeah, I'll leave it there now. Otherwise I could talk for the next hour. So I won't do that. I think now is a good time to talk to, I'll stop sharing so you can see my face again, talk to Hayley Lethleen from Muscular Dystrophy WA. Hayley, can you tell us a little bit about the site's inception and the beginnings of this project?
Sure, thanks, Lucy. I guess this, even though the journey only seems like a 2-year journey, it's actually probably a 4-year journey, because in 2016, MDWA embarked on actually designing a new website for WA in particular. And as part of that process, we went on a journey to really develop a strategy around who our users were and greater connection with our community. And it came down to 3 basic things, and that was that we really need to champion independence, we really need to connect our community, and we need to celebrate humanity. So we took this concept nationally, because we felt that if this was going to really work, it had to have a lot of people connected and a lot of people involved. And yeah, we got all the National Federation members on board and set about applying for a grant, got the grant, and that's exactly where the loop started.
That's really cool. Can you tell me a bit about some of the inspiration for the project? So some of the things you saw the community facing that you thought a website might address?
Sure. Consistent feedback, probably threefold. People were overwhelmed with information. So consistent commentary around there's just so much information out there. I just don't know which is trustworthy. Some of the information is so complex. It's written in very medical terms, and I can't get that. And there was also the philosophies around, I'm living with this condition. Am I the only person? And I feel very isolated and alone, and this is all very daunting. So I guess that built the philosophy of what we needed to sort of try and solve as the forum or website.
Great. And what are you most excited to see on the site now that it's live?
I guess actually bringing the reality of connection, having the whole community, which we envisaged would originally only just be the WA neuromuscular community, is now the whole national neuromuscular community. And who knows, we could go global. So I think that's important. I think, I guess having the expectation that individuals living with a neuromuscular condition, they need to have their voice, and they need to, experience this, and this needs to be for them individually what they need. And I think that's the best thing, because there's going to be so much learning and connection between the neuromuscular community across Australia. That's going to be a wonderful experience.
Thank you. Thanks so much for that. I think we'll hand now to Charlotte, who's the CEO of Muscular Dystrophy New South Wales. We just saw that the inclusion of the forum on the Loop site. Can you tell us a little bit about your involvement with the project and how the forum came to be a part of the Loop?
Yeah, so when we were doing our community consultation, as we do every year, our community came to us and said that they wanted a space where they could meet online, share information. So we were lucky enough to also receive an ILC grant from the National Disability Insurance Agency to create an online community in New South Wales. So as these two projects were happening concurrently, we decided, well, what's the point of creating something for New South Wales when the internet really doesn't stop at the border of New South Wales? Let's collaborate nationally and create a big forum that everyone in Australia can access. So that's where we ended up where we are, and we're really, really pleased that that funding has been able to go and spread across the whole country. So, we're really excited.
That's awesome. And how involved has MD New South Wales been in the project since we decided to collaborate?
Oh, very involved. Carolyn has been doing a lot of work with that, and a couple of my colleagues who are sitting in the background here watching on YouTube. So we've very much felt part of the team. And one of the things I really love about the Muscular Dystrophy Associations is that spirit of collaboration. Everything we do, we tend to think, are we better off doing this alone, or are we better off doing it shared across the country? And 99% of the time it's a group effort. So
that's great. And what are you most excited to see now that the site's live?
I'm keen to see all of our members jump on there and get involved. Yeah, we really want this resource to be used. We've built it for our community, so that's what it's here for. You speak, we listen. So here it is, and we just hope you enjoy it, and we hope you love it as much as we do.
That's a very good message. That's the call to action from today's session. Go and sign up, go create an account, and go use it.
Sign up and have a look. It's awesome. Yeah. It's a beautiful site.
Yeah, it is very beautiful. Awesome. So now let's go to Kim. Kim, you are from Muscular Dystrophy Queensland. Can you tell me a bit about your involvement in the project?
Yeah, sure, Lucy. So initially, I was involved in collating content for the site. And as the project evolved, I took on the role of leading the content team. I must acknowledge the other members of the content team. So Lucy, yourself, also Piper Marsh from Muscular Dystrophy Western Australia, and also Tanya DeCrew, our copywriter. The team worked across Australia, across different time zones, and worked really hard in putting the content together for the site. I also want to acknowledge Scott Hollier, the project manager, for his support and guidance through the project. And I also just like to acknowledge Helene Frayne, the CEO from Muscular Dystrophy Queensland, who obviously, along with Charlotte and Hayley, wrote the application for the project.
Can you tell me a bit about the process of pulling all of the content together? Because it was an enormous process. Can you tell me what was involved?
Sure. So there was a lot of existing information out there. So just trying to look at existing information and bring it all together and working out what content was going to suit our site and also meet the needs of what our community had asked for. So there was a lot of work in looking at what was already out there and not reinventing the wheel.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you tell me about some of the places that you did research in? So some of the resources that you looked to?
Yeah, so some of the national organisations like Muscular Dystrophy Association from the United States has really up-to-date fact sheets and information on conditions, and that tends to be updated on a really regular basis. So that was one site, but also each of the state sites here in Australia has a lot of information as well. So just looking at what each of the states had available, again, so we weren't reinventing the wheel.
Yeah, that has definitely been a big challenge for this project, is trying to work out how do we make the most of resources that already exist, and how can we repurpose content that already exists to make sure it's really suitable for our audience. Are there any other major challenges that you found, because it was such a big job?
I think just trying to meet different expectations and what people are trying to get out of the site. There's different people coming to this, hopefully will be coming to the site. So just trying to provide information for all the different people that will be accessing the site in the future to make sure that they were catered for.
Yeah. And so what are you most excited to see about on the site now?
So for me, it's twofold. I'm really hoping that people will see the benefits of sharing their stories and knowledge on the site, and that our Living Life section will continue to grow and grow, because that's, you know, where we want people to go to share their stories and find information. Secondly, I think I hope that people will take the opportunity to connect with others, as Hayley was saying, right across Australia and maybe even internationally. You know, I think the forum part of the website is so important so that we can have that exchange of knowledge and experiences of living with a neuromuscular condition. I think the peer-to-peer support part of the website and the content is you know, going to be invaluable for people across Australia.
That's great. Thanks, Kim. Cool. So I think now's a really good time to hand over to some of our community members. So as part of the project's development, we created a community reference group, because it's always been really important that this site was developed in collaboration with our community. And so our community reference group have played a really important role in providing feedback and input throughout the whole development of the project. So I thought we'll talk to a couple of different people who are involved in our community reference group, or our CRG, and ask them a bit about their involvement. So we'll start with you, Carolyn. So tell me a little bit about how you came to be involved in this project.
Well, it's so exciting to be here. Thanks, Lucy. Well, this is something that the community's been crying out for years. So it's very exciting that we're actually here today. I guess I was involved. I'm been a long time member of the Muscular Dystrophy New South Wales, but I've also been working for 2 years, or actually longer, but on this the project that the New South Wales MD New South Wales got alongside at the same time as the Loop project. So yeah, there's been a lot of synergies about, you know, wanting to get information out to our community. Yeah, so I've been, as Charlotte said, I've been working busily away on trying to get our community engaged with others, and, you know, really hearing directly from the voices of the people in our community. It's such a powerful experience for people often that they don't know that it's kind of cool being able to share your story, because you reflect a lot, and you know, you actually not only help other people, but, you know, in a sense, it's actually a therapeutic experience for many people. So yeah, I guess I've been involved both through my work, but also, you know, on the CRG, the community reference group, and yeah, I was in the consultations that Scott went around the countryside. I was in that, and yeah, and I've written a story as well and contributed. So I guess I've had a few different hats on, and yeah, I think I'm passionate about this community, and I'm involved in it as many different ways as I can. So.
That's awesome, and it's your enthusiasm for this project and for your community is so infectious. It's awesome. So if you can think back all the way back to July 2019, I can't remember that far back ago, you came along to our visioning workshop. Can you tell me a bit about that?
Yeah, I was trying to remember. It was such a great day because it was meeting so many people from interstate, and, you know, people we've only kind of seen on Facebook or maybe, you know, seen in an email. But yeah, it was really awesome to meet people face to face and, you know, bring the Australian community together. And so that was really great. We came together in a hotel, and we had we were kind of locked in a room for a whole day, and we had all these tasks to do, and Meerkats, who were running the show, they really were wanting to think really carefully about what our community would benefit from, and, you know, what is it that our community needs that would support them, and, you know, both people who are already, I guess, living with their condition, but also for people who are newly diagnosed, you know, and, you know, whether that's parents who have children or whether that's someone diagnosed later on in life. You know, we really had to nut it out, and we had lots and lots of post-it notes and butcher's paper all over the place and we were thinking up creative ideas about, well, what would we want if we wanted, you know, if we could have, you know, some whiz bang, you know, website where we could have, you know, lots of things in it, what would we want in it? And so it was a really good day to be able to thinking up, well, what are the things that people actually are needing? So yeah, it was a bit of a tricky process. I remember thinking, oh gosh, you know, how long's a piece of string, like, you know, but we, I think, you know, we got there, and it's lovely to see now that all of that dreaming and visioning and thinking and, you know, to fruition now. So it's awesome.
That's great. And so as a CRG member, what was some of the things that were really important to you to see in the final product?
I think number one was that this website needed to be co-designed and voiced from the perspective of people living with conditions and our community, with people with lived experience. And, you know, there are medical sites, and there are, you know, therapy sites, and there are service providers. And, you know, for a very long time, a lot of other people have had a say in the lives of people with neuromuscular conditions. And I think in 2020, it's okay now that we say, you know what, we're actually the ones, you know, in charge of our lives, and we're the ones who can support each other as well, and use our life experience to support other people and people coming up in the community and coming along in that journey. So, you know, that was a really number one thing, that it needed to be voiced, you know, from that perspective, not patronising or not sort of medicalised. It needed to be current, and it needed to be something that people wanted to engage with. Yeah, and the other thing was it needed to be friendly enough and gentle enough for new people. You know, often people start Googling, you know, Dr. Google when they have a diagnosis, and that can be a very scary time for people. So the information really needed to be, you know, informative, but not so scary. It needed to be gentle, and it needed to be, you know, comforting. And I think one of the really awesome things that you talked about before, Lucy, was that people can look in and see what the lives are like for people with a diagnosis, like along the track, you know. So a lot of people get told, oh, your child won't be able to do this, they won't be able to do that, or you know, this is what's going to happen. And it's not until people actually connect with real people that are living their lives that they see, wow, life doesn't end with a diagnosis. So yeah, I think that was really important, that component of life experience needed to be really front and centre.
That's great. Thank you so much, Carolyn. Thanks so much for your contribution to the whole project. It's been really significant, so thank you.
Thanks, Lucy.
Sarah is our content wizard. When we put the call out to our CRG members to say, hey, can you contribute some content to our Living Life section to show everyone what should be in that section, Sarah definitely helped us out and answered the call with a whole lot of content. So I highly recommend going and checking out some of her content in the Living Life section. So Sarah, tell me a little bit about your involvement in the project.
Well, my involvement started because I was sort of bending Helene's ear constantly about the need for community engagement and how isolating these conditions are, and how awful it is to get a diagnosis and then not be able to connect with anybody else who's actually got the same condition in a timely fashion, and only be presented with, you know, very negative medical information going forward, and how difficult it is to actually find people who talk the same talk and are walking the same walk. So she very kindly punted me your way to say, well, this is what we're doing, get involved. You know, we're doing this, it's coming about. So I was quite excited to be asked to be part of the reference group.
That's great. And you've made such an enormous contribution. Can you talk to me a little bit about the kind of content that you've created and how you think it might be helpful to other people?
Well, I've lived with my condition for 10 years now. So when I'm looking at creating content, I'm looking at what's taken days, weeks of research for me and my partner, what's been depressing, what's been the wins, and what would have been helpful for somebody to actually have told me about to save all of that effort? And also, what would I have liked to have seen when I was first diagnosed to know, you know, there's life after diagnosis, and it's actually quite a good life. So I'm trying to sort of balance out the you know, this is the journey you'll have to go through, but there's definitely some highs along the way. That's what I'm looking at.
That's great. And what are you most excited to see happen now on the site?
I just want to see the community build. I want to see other people's stories. I want to share tips and hints with them. I want to see people who are just diagnosed reaching out, and within sort of, you know, hours of diagnosis, actually having a support group in place to talk to, rather than being out there on their own. I think it's going to be really, really exciting, and just a great tool.
Yeah, me too. I'm really excited to see that happen as well. Thank you, Sarah. And finally, we've kept him waiting, Jack. Hi, Jack. How you going?
Good, thanks, Lucy.
Cool. Can you tell me a bit about how you've been involved in the project? Because you've worn lots of different hats.
I have worn lots of different hats, different than I'm wearing today. I started out as a CRG community member and attended the same visioning workshop in Sydney as Carol and a bunch of yourselves. And then back in Perth, have been was part of a group of community members working on the sort of feel of the website, the layout, the sort of language that we wanted to use on there, the sort of imagery, and even down to things like colors and that sort of thing. Ultimately, to create like a warm, welcoming website where, again, like some of the others have spoken about, people felt that they were getting the information, but it wasn't such a huge shock to be given a diagnosis. And then I've also been involved with a bit of video production in the project as well. We saw the video at the beginning for the launch video, which I was
You're the star.
Happy to see, and a couple of interviews, sort of questions about being first diagnosed and that sort of thing are listed around the site as well.
Yeah. So we've talked a bit about this with Carolyn, but what were some of the things that you were really keen or you felt were really important that we included or handled sensitively on the site?
I really wanted there to be like a real message of hope communicated through the site, that it wasn't the be all and end all, so that you can definitely live life, a brilliant life with a neuromuscular condition. One of my things was that the site include a big focus on mental health as well as people's physical health, and definitely the ability to create like a customized condition guide for health professionals and employers and so on and so forth was a very important thing for me for the site. And I'm absolutely thrilled to see that it's all come about so well. Such a great team of people working on this fantastic resource.
Oh, shucks, thanks. Yeah, so finally, what are you most excited to see what happen on the site?
It's been said like again and again, I can't wait for that forum to start populating with user-generated content, videos, stories, all sorts of stuff. I'm looking forward to people being able to hear each other's stories and find that it isn't the be all and end all to have a neuromuscular condition. You can still live a very, very full and exciting life. And being able to hear that from other community members is definitely the best thing that can happen. I really want to see some life hacks. I want to see your life hacks.
You can post some of your own. I think you should definitely get us started. Start the life hack train. Sounds good. Well, thank you. Thanks, Jack. And I think that is I think that's the message, the takeaway from today is we really want to see everyone in the community jump onto the site, have a look and have a play and start a conversation. We can't wait to have our community using this website, and the app is coming soon too. So on that note, Nadell, did you have anything else, any last words?
I'm just wanting people to actually remember what the URL actually is.
It is theloopcommunity.org. So that link is up on our Facebook page. An email has gone out today as well to all of our database, but you should be hearing from your local muscular dystrophy organisation as well from in the next couple of days with all of the information about how to access the site. So I'm seeing lots of nods. So that's definitely going to happen. So yeah, but if you can't find us straight away because it will take a few days for Google to know we exist, take a look on Facebook. We are there at The Loop, your Neuromuscular Resource Hub. So you'll be able to find us one way or another.
And Lucy, can I just make a suggestion? Maybe everyone out there in live stream land, maybe if they join in and get 2 of their friends or people they know to join as well, then we can grow this thing and make it really, really cool. Yeah, so that's a challenge for everyone.
Fantastic. Well, thanks so much to everybody here on the call today for joining us for this chat. And thank you to everyone out there in live stream land. I like that term, Carolyn. I'm going to steal that. Everyone over on YouTube who's watching this now. This video will go up on Facebook as well in the next couple of days. And thanks for watching. Thanks for joining. And we can't wait to see you over on the Loop. So we will now sign off, say goodbye. So thanks so much, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. And thank you, Lucy.
Thanks, everyone. That was great. Bye.
See ya.